76ers lock all windows and doors. For the record! Redick, can he get it off? And the putback turning garbage into gold. Jameer Lamar Nelson Sr. You won a state basketball title at Chester. You helped St. Joe's to a top ranking. They got to the Elite Eight in the tournament. You're the Hawks' all-time leader in points, assists, and steals. Voted College Player of the Year in 2004. 14 seasons in the NBA, 10 with the Orlando Magic. Last November, you were promoted from assistant GM to general manager of the Delaware Bluecoats, the 76ers G League affiliate. You're married, the father of a boy who plays. We'll talk about him. 3 girls as well. Jameer, that's a lot for 41 years old. Did the time just fly by or what?
Yeah, it's funny. My wife asked me yesterday. She was like, what do you want for your birthday? Your birthday is next month. And I actually forgot. And then she was like, do you even know how old you're going to be? And I was like, I had to think about it. So yes, to answer your question, the time does fly. Just reading what people say actually about my son kind of tells that. Like, they're like, look, I just remember watching Jameer Nelson Sr. play basketball. Now I'm watching his son on ESPN with TCU. And that makes everybody feel a little older and also realize that the time is actually really flying.
Well, you had him while you were in college, so we're going to talk about that. But I just want to know, now in your 40s, have you transitioned to the old school guy?
I am the old school guy. I go places that people say, "What's up, old head?" or "What's up, old school?" And I'm like, wait, I just stopped playing a few years ago. I still move pretty well. I'm in pretty good shape, and my kids are young enough for me. Especially my youngest daughter, she's 11, so I'm it's weird. Like, as my son, I was the youngest parent in whatever classroom he was in. Now I kind of caught up with my youngest. I'm kind of like on par with all the parents there. Like, everybody's kind of at the similar age range.
So when you're on the court, let's say, and you're just putting your arm around a young guy, trying to communicate with him to make him better, does he have an understanding of who you are and what it is that you did?
Yeah. I'm not that far removed. It's not like I'm 20 years removed from the NBA. And I think we had such great years in Orlando that they're memorable. I think people remember, obviously, Dwight Howard and the rest of the guys. But that team was exciting. That team did some things that a lot of teams, I guess, tried to do as of recent by playing small and the way the game is going. I think we were a little before our time with it, with playing Turk at the point at times and me off the ball and Rashard at the 4, like going small. So I think we were, I think actually the first team who did that, something similar, was the Houston Rockets back in the day with Robert Horry at the 4. But now the way the game is going, I think we kind of took what the Houston Rockets did, and Stan and the coaching staff kind of took it and ran with it. And he did such a great job of coaching the guys that he had and not saying, "Hey, this is my system. Go fit into it." He fit his system around us, which was kind of cool.
Hey, you're talking about Hedo Turkoglu and Rashard Lewis. Haven't mentioned their names in a while. Listen, the websites say you're 6 feet. You're like 6 feet, like Allen Iverson is 6 feet. It's like Hubie Brown. It's like Hubie Brown used to say, "It's not how big you are, it's how big you play." And
Yes.
obviously, you had your share of doubters coming up. How did you take the doubt and turn it into inspiration?
To say that I didn't hear the doubters or naysayers, I would be lying. But I can actually honestly tell you it didn't bother me. I tell people I've been this size my entire life. I've been overcoming things and the underdog my entire life. So I made it to the league and played and had a pretty successful, obviously good career. the odds were stacked against me. You know, coming from Chester, like going to a small school like St. Joe's, my size, anything you want to put out there. But I think my determination, my work ethic, and my heart, um, and my love for the game, I think help me overcome all of those things. And you know, we're in a situation or in a world now where everything is about size and athleticism and about the makeup of a player, and all those things are true. But I think you have to also measure the player's heart and his will to play the game and passion for the game too.
How do you measure that? Because you're a talent evaluator.
Well, for me, you have to dig into the intel. You dig into the intel. You trust your sources. We obviously know the world is such a relationship driven world when it comes to most things. So just being able to have real relationships with people and get the real info on certain guys, it helps out a lot.
Take us back 30 years. You're coming up in Chester. What's family like for you?
Family is it's fun, man. Like my mom and dad separated when I was young, but they remain friends. I never remember like my mom and dad like not being friends. If my mom had a barbecue or my dad had a barbecue, the other was invited or like anything. Like so, everybody got along. My step parents got along. Um, Obviously, had a really good supporting cast when it came to just my family in general. My mom, dad, my step parents, my siblings, and my closest friends, and you know had a lot of people in my corner from Chester, basically entire city, especially growing up. Like everybody was pulling for me, and it kind of put me on track. It's like okay, we're not going to let you get out of line. We're going to help you get through this. I mean, had the pleasure of being coached by a Hall of Fame high school coach in Fred Pickett and also Larry Yarbrough, who came on my sophomore year as a coach. Both both have passed. Larry more recent than Fred, but I owe a lot to the city of Chester and the coaches that helped me out and my friends as well.
So, is it true that when you're growing up in, we'll call it a tough area, that when you show some athletic promise, the rest of the community kind of says, you know what, we're not going to try to get him involved in drugs or gangs or any of that stuff. We're going to try to keep him going on that path and elevate him.
Yeah, and I think for the person who's involved, like you look at especially basketball. Um, I don't know the percentage, but it's a high percentage of guys that come from the inner city, and the inner city usually has high crime and a lot of drug activity involved in it. So I was fortunate enough to have, um, like I said, like not a bubble around me, but a bunch of people who knew I had ability to make it to college. Nobody knew I was going to be a pro and be in the spot I'm in now, but um, everybody saw the potential for me to be the Division I basketball player, even before I saw it in myself. Um, so, like you know, I had, like I said, numerous amount of people like keeping me out of trouble, helping me out, um, and you know, starts with my parents and my siblings. Like my older brother, he would walk me to practice and walk me from practice, and you know, do the things that he was supposed to do as an older brother. Um, and you know he protected me. He did like as a 41-year-old man now. I'm like this dude actually protected me from things that I could have gotten into, and you know went down the wrong, basically taking the wrong route.
Are you a Sixers fan growing up?
Absolutely, Charles Barkley was my favorite player. Like he is my favorite player ever. Charles Barkley, Allen Iverson, and then for me like it's Kobe. Because he's from the area, and obviously we know the history between Lord Marion and Chester, the rival. Just me watching those guys close, I was able to see so many different moments in those guys' careers. And if you think about it, all those guys, I think I gravitated to those guys because they were the underdogs. All of them, well, the two Sixers, Barkley and Iverson, were undersized, but they were just fierce and super competitors, and the way they approached the game, the way their opponents. I don't know if they were feared, but I knew that the game plan surrounded those two guys when they stepped on the floor.
You're just, I think, starting college in 2001 when Allen takes the Sixers to the finals. How did you view that team then?
It was surreal, man. Like I remember going to games, and I had gone to a bunch of games before, prior to that season. But going to games that season, it was different. Guys, like everybody in the crowd was high fiving and chest bumping. The energy was crazy. I'm not sure if I've seen anything as a fan or a player, anything like it. I tell you one thing: the Philly fans, when you're doing good, they are 100% behind you. And most of them, even when you're not doing good, they're still there. But I can just recall like seeing this dude take a team who are quote unquote overachievers to the finals, and they had some really good pieces. I mean, you give the management staff who put that team together credit, and the coaching staff credit for getting the most out of the players that were on that team.
Right. They surrounded Allen with the exact right team that he needed to allow him to have the ball and do his thing, I think. Credit to Larry Brown and Billy King. Remember the first time you faced him on an NBA court, Allen Iverson?
I do.
Tell me about it.
So me and AI, we had become friends. We just me looking up to him and him actually telling me about my game. I used to go to Sixers practice all the time and watch it. But once I became a pro, he knew. I was surprised, like guys like AI and Kobe knew about me. But it's something unique about the player here that from our area. So my first game was back here in Philly when I was a rookie versus, we were playing, I was in Orlando. And AI had, I think the first 5 minutes, he had like 18 points. I was coming up. This is funny. I was on the bench. He had 18 points the first 5 minutes. And the coach looks down and said, Jameer. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm about to go like, try to yeah. So it's crazy. Like I get to the scores table, standing ovation, and I got chills going through my body because of it. Like standing ovation. I go in the game and I do my thing. I think he ended up with like maybe 28 or 30 for the half, something like that. So I'm feeling good. Okay, he didn't give me, a crazy amount of buckets. So now, second half comes. I think he has another 18 points the first 5 minutes. Again, Jameer, come get, whoever was starting. So now I'm fast forwarding to the end of the game. AI is rolling, and he's talking to me. He's like, every time you reach, I'm going to go by you. And we were at the time, we weren't a good defensive team. Dwight wasn't who Dwight Howard was at the time. And like the ignorant rookie I was, I kept reaching because the ball was right there. So he ended up with 63 points, I think his career high. And I was just like, it's nothing I can do but get better from this. So I actually studied the film. I watched the tape. And I was telling my coworker the other day, I my rookie year, I took notes like after games. I had a journal of who I played and what they did and how I could do better. And I think every game after that, I got better. I mean, you got to get better after giving up 63, right? So I think it was games where I literally like stole the ball from them, made it tough on them. And then what I realized was, as an offensive player, my best defense was put pressure on him while I had the ball.
Interesting.
So
make him work. Make him work
a little bit. Put him in as many pick roles. Let him, because I know what it feels like as a small guard to go through all these screens to get dinged up. Let him get hit with Dwight and Tony Battie and all these other guys who are setting screens on him, and hopefully that slows him down when he has the ball.
I'm going to move on, but I have to say, you just talked about putting Allen in pick and roll. He banged into more big bodies, whether he was with the ball or on defense, than anybody I think I've ever seen. But I have to ask you, did it make sense that you would have success at a school like St. Joe's? It was small and assuming. You had a character and a head coach in Phil Martelli. Could you have ever seen yourself at a place like Duke or Michigan or someplace like that?
Well, to be honest with you, Mark, I think people look at me like, well, he wasn't recruited high. And I actually was. I just decided that I didn't want to be recruited high.
Hmm.
I had an opportunity to be a top 15 player in the country and possibly be a McDonald's All American if I would have attended, I think it was the 5-star camp. And they were like, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, this school wants to see you play. And I was like, no. I don't want to go to the camp. I had games in Chester, which was really important to me. So then they come to me at the end of the week. Just come play in the All Star game. These schools still want to see you. You'll still probably get your top 15 ranking and possibly McDonald's All American. And it was just like just go drive up and play in the game. And I had a championship game in Chester that day, and I was like, no, I'm gonna play in my championship game. So I don't think I could have seen myself play at those big schools. Mainly, I think the one thing is I wanted my family to be able to see me play like on a nightly basis, and that was big for me. Like I was, and I am now. I'm still big on family. Um, the people that supported me, it would have been hard for them to fly to Kansas, Kentucky, Duke. Um, the amount of times they've gotten to a St. Joe's game. I needed that support. I needed the people around me to continue to support me. I needed them to be there for me. Because at the time I was quote unquote the pride of Chester, and I wore Chester on my sleeve basically, um, and I'm still extremely proud of my city and the things that we've accomplished. I know we get a bad rep for uh, you know the negative things that's going on, whether it's crime or drugs. But like again, that's any inner city. You go to any state, any city, you make the wrong turn, you can find yourself in some trouble. And Chester has a lot. We have a lot of good people and good stories that come out that just aren't publicized the way that the crime is.
Listen, you could have stayed home and gone to my alma mater, Temple. In fact, Coach Cheney, God rest his soul, he was in the mix there for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah. So this is the funny thing. Like I really thought I was going to go to Temple. I really thought Temple was the school for me. Um, and God rest Coach Cheney, got arrested there. He would show up to pretty much all my events and sit way in the back with a straw hat on, glasses on, and like it was his disguise, but everybody knew it was Coach Cheney. So I just thought it was comical that he continued to do that, and he just didn't show me like I didn't feel comfortable like with the conversations he and I had, and it was
Hmm.
more like, hey, we want you to come here and possibly redshirt or sit for a year and watch. And for me, it was like at the time I was like, I wasn't thinking about the NBA. I was just thinking about playing basketball and going to school, and I wanted to play right away. So it made it easy because UMass was in the mix too.
Why did he
Bruiser,
want you to sit? Why did he want you to sit, Jameer?
well, he told me like who one of my good friends is Lynn Greer.
Okay.
Yeah, Lynn was there. He said, and honestly, like if I go play on the team that Lynn is playing on, he's older. I probably will sit. I mean, Lynn was a phenomenal player.
Hmm.
He was a guy I looked up to from Chester Biddy League. I mean, a lot of people don't know that my family, most of my family is from North Philly, and my family and Lynn family grew up together. Like my uncles and my dad and his family members, they literally lived around a corner from my family.
Hmm.
Um, but getting back to the script, I just wanted to play, and Coach Martelli, like, look, you have an opportunity to start. We're gonna put the ball in your hands, and I think the kid that was there, he ended up transferring because he heard all the comments about me coming in and starting. So it just made it easy. I'm going to assume Coach meant his word about me coming in and playing right away and starting. But when the kid transferred, it just I was the only I was the only point guard left, so I had to start.
So here you are, you're leading St. Joe's to a top ranking. You're making yourself into a first round pick. Now, I know towards the end there, you did shave off some classes so you can concentrate on basketball. Still, through it all, you managed to be a father as well. How did you manage that?
Well, my girlfriend at the time and now my wife, um, she deserves all the credit for that. I mean, she was still she basically was in college or high school, going through college, um, and she managed all that. My in laws, my mother in law, my father in law, my parents. Like I said, the support was like it was I can't even put into words how much support I had and we had as a young couple with a kid. She managed all of that. She allowed me to be me as a basketball player. She allowed me to work, and it continued throughout my entire NBA career. She knew my workout schedule was kind of rigorous, where it comes like I'm literally 5, 6, 7 hours a day in the gym at doing multiple things, taking breaks, taking naps, and we would have family time on the weekends, and family times after workout. So I give her like it's obviously people think things like this is cliche, but like if it's not for her, my wife Imani, I'm not sure I have the success or I'm allowed to have the success that I've had. We obviously now, like you said, have 4 kids, my son and 3 girls, and she's still doing a great job. I mean, me working right now, traveling, doing things, and at times I'm sure it gets frustrated with me, but she understands my goals and she allows me to try to reach them too.
Well, we have a lot to talk about, you and me. I will want to touch on the long, sad story of your St. Joe's teammate, Delonte West, how you dealt with losing your father, your view of the Sixers now, some of your duties as the GM of the Delaware Bluecoats, their G League affiliate. But we have reached halftime, and there are a couple of features to halftime. The first is our six-pack. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to name 2 things, and you have to choose one of those 2 things, and I'm going to give you 6 pairs in all. So, and you got to choose quick. Yeah, this is not for you to think about. This is you just to react. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, you ever get to a game and your view's nothing close to what you thought it would be? Listen, I get to buy seats now too, no freebies, so I'm teaming up with Game Time. They have got killer last-minute deals, flash deals. You could check out views from all seats in the venue, and they've got your back with the lowest price guarantee. Listen, if you find tickets for less in the same section and row, Game Time credits you 110% of the difference. They show your total up front. No surprises at checkout. Buying tickets takes 2 seconds, a couple of taps, and you're done. Philly, let's change the game. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code ZOO for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, terms apply. Redeem the code ZOO, Z-O-O, for your $20 discount at gametime.co. Philly cheesesteak or Philly soft pretzel?
Cheesesteak.
Center City or South Jersey?
Center City.
Gritty or Philly Fanatic?
Fanatic.
Meek Mill or Hall & Oates?
Meek Mill.
Dr. J or Allen Iverson throwback jersey?
Ooh.
Come on, quick.
Allen Iverson.
There you go. Liberty Bell or Rock.
I have the right here. I have the Dr. J throwback jersey hanging up.
Okay. All right. So we'll give you a half and half for that one.
Yep.
Liberty Bell or Rocky Steps?
Rocky Steps.
Okay. I am going to go through my music library. I've pulled out a handful of artists, and you tell me if you have them in your music library. Are you ready?
Yep.
Coldplay.
Nope.
Snoop.
Yes.
Miles Davis.
Yes.
Black Eyed Peas.
A little bit.
U2.
No.
Who was your go-to typically before an NBA game?
So a lot of guys listen to music. I never really got into listening to music before games. I was more of a free spirit. I was loose. I kept the locker room loose, laughing and joking. Some can say I was silly or the team or the class clown. But I did it behind closed doors, and nobody actually knew, could figure out my personality as much as my teammates could. But one of my favorite Philly groups, I should say, is the Roots. One of my good friends, Kamal Gray, is on keyboard for him, and I've known Kamal for years, and even before knowing him, that was one of my favorite groups. I mean, Black Thought is probably, I don't know, I hate ranking people or figures. Black Thought is one of my top three favorite artists to listen to.
Jahmir, you played 14 years in the league, mostly with Orlando. The Magic in 2009, what a year for you. A crazy year. I mean, you're an all-star. You miss a ton of games. Because of that, the Magic trade for Rafer Alston. They eventually get to the finals without you. Then you come back for the finals, and you go to every player and coach and ask them if you should come back to play. And you didn't get any no's.
No,
why did you even do that?
Well, one, I'm a competitor, and I felt physically, mentally ready to play. Two, if they felt I was going to disrupt any chemistry the team had, if one person would have said they didn't want me to play, I wouldn't have played. And not one person said it. So I ended up playing, and people can say I messed up the chemistry or I didn't or whatever. I'm comfortable still to this day with my decision. I live, especially my basketball life, with no regrets. Like I gave everything I could to the game as a player. Even when my agent, Steve Mountain, was trying to get me to play another year, one of my buddies, they kind of teamed up on me to get me to play another year. I just didn't have it in me anymore. And it was more because I was mentally drained, and I needed to be around, and my kids needed me to be around more, along with my wife. So I decided not to play anymore. But going back to it, I decided to play. We thought it was a good idea as an organization, and we obviously didn't accomplish the goal. And I knew going into it, if it didn't work out, it would be on my shoulders. But I'm a mentally strong person. If I wasn't, I wouldn't have lasted 14 years. I wouldn't have gotten through that situation and continued to play.
You were a free agent a couple of times in the 2010s. Any thought about signing with the Sixers? Now, I know that during some of those times, they were in the midst of the process years. It might not have been the right situation for you, but any thoughts of coming home and playing?
Just after my last year in Denver, I like I just said, I talked about coming here to play, trying to help. Still had some left in the tank, but Philly was the only team I would have played for that year. It was some other teams inquiring, and I was working out pretty regularly. I mean, up until like I would say Christmas time, and then that's when I was like, even during those times working out, I wasn't as into it as I was. And I always said, if I'm not into the workout, if I'm not into the work, I shouldn't be playing. So that's when I started questioning. That's the only time I actually started questioning myself whether I wanted to play or not.
How much input do you have as a G League general manager with the day-to-day operations of the Sixers, or are you purely Delaware Bluecoats? Do they call you in every once in a while on the periphery for some input?
I've for the last 2 years I've been, close to Elton and Daryl in the meetings, and giving my suggestions, or they'll ask me questions, and I do have some input in certain aspects of the organization. Obviously, for these guys to believe in me as the GM of the Bluecoats, who is obviously the minor league team, it tells you that they have confidence in me, and they see that one day I can manage a big club, and that's the goal. And I think they're helping me get to that point. It's just step by step, and it's I don't like to rush any process. So the opportunity that is in front of me right now is a huge one. But yeah, I'm in the meetings. I'm in the room. I'm allowed to voice my opinion. I'm allowed to help the group think. I'm also obviously in the scouting group, so I do a lot of the college scouting, and I help with that group as well. So it's I got my hands in some things that, one, I never thought I would be involved in. I thought I would be a coach, and two, it's unique because of the trust that these guys have in me, allowing me to do things, whether it's a G League trade or recruiting another player to come in that's a free agent. Like, so it's fun. It's fun. I'm day to day dealing with agents, day to day dealing with the players, the coaching staff, and yes, I do have to report back to the executive group basically after every game. I give a little report and my thoughts. I do the same for the coach. So people may think that's micromanaging, but I'm not. I'm just like staying on top of my job. It's the difference. Like I make a suggestion to the coach, and it's his job to either figure it out or do what he think is best. It's more of a collaborative approach than it is a dictatorship for me.
So you're in the room with Daryl Morey and Elton Brand, and I know the room is closed off. You want your privacy. You don't want anything getting out, but the NBA trade deadline is February 8th. A lot of Sixer fans are begging for any sliver of insight you can give them into what Daryl Morey may be thinking.
I mean, the main thing is for us to win a championship. I mean, that's the goal. I think,
but what do they need to do between now and February 8th to try to ensure that?
I don't know. I mean, that is a behind closed door conversation.
Okay, that's fine.
Goals, but I know our goal. Like we have a championship caliber team and organization. So, and obviously with Coach Nurse, he's doing some really good things with the crew. So just obviously giving him what he needs to be or put us in position to win a championship.
All right. I'm going to ask you to go deep here on a couple of things. First of all, at St. Joe's, you played with a couple of really good guys, John Bryant, Dwayne Jones, both became NBA assistant coaches. Both have helped me throughout the years. And you also play with Delonte West. And unfortunately, his trials and tribulations have been well documented. Mental health issues. He was homeless. Mark Cuban, among others, tried to help. You and Coach Martelli have also tried to help. What's the latest with Delonte?
The one thing, Mark, is like, and I keep saying it, like mental health is real. Excuse me. I personally dealt with it when my father passed. Didn't know I was dealing with it, but seeked help. I had the luxury of Stan Van Gundy and Otis Smith, who pushed me towards my then sports psychologist and now friend. And it just helped me out tremendously, understand and put things in perspective and give me an outlet. And Delonte is unfortunately dealing with mental health and has yet to get it under control. There's a lot of people in the world who are extremely concerned with his mental health. But I think the one thing we have to realize is like when somebody's dealing with an issue, whether it's mental health, drug, or anything that is, basically an addiction or some type of disorder, the person has to realize it, and the people around them have to help provide the right resources for that person. So at some point, I think he, and I hope he snaps out of it. I haven't been in touch with him in quite a bit. But I think I get reports and I hear things and I try to not look at what I see on social media because we all on it. Like, let's be honest, to a certain extent. I just wish that people stop putting videos out there and doing things that could hurt his kids and his family. That is like one of the main things that, people can take shots at me or take shots at whomever they feel like they need to take shots at because of the help or lack of help or whatever they assume because they don't know the truth. But it's to me, it's ignorant to put a person on social media who needs help. And you don't even realize or know what help they've been given or provided or the opportunity, resources that's been given to them. So I don't speak on it at all on social media, but I'm sure this will hit social media. I can care less what people think about what I do or don't do. I think they should look in the mirror. The people should look in the mirror and realize what harm they're actually causing by putting these videos and comments up and allowing them to surface throughout social media.
You mentioned your father, and you also mentioned the support you got from Stan Van Gundy, Otis Smith, the coach and GM, respectively, of Orlando when you played there. Uh, Losing your father in a drowning accident. Speak to those who have had similar losses and what they can do to ease the pain and find some semblance of peace.
Yeah, so just my father passed. Season starts, and I don't believe I ever grieved the way I should have. So I'm playing, and I'm actually playing really well. And we go on a 5-game road trip, and I think we ended up in Phoenix. We go 4 out of 5, and you know how hard that is on a West Coast trip. We won 4 out of the 5, and after the game, had a great game. And I just bust out in tears, start crying, have no idea why, what's going on. And my teammates are around me, just hugging me, holding me. And I wasn't diagnosed with anything, but I'm assuming I had some type of depression. Because I was actually drinking more than I probably should have been during that year. I probably was, being alone. It like I didn't want to be alone. So I had my brother traveling with me, and one of my close friends at the time traveling with me, just to kind of coddle me. And what Stan did was actually the best thing that could have happened for me. He said to me, he sat down, he said, "Do you want to play?" I was like, "No, I don't want to play anymore." And I didn't know if that meant I didn't want to play anymore the next couple games, year, or what. And he's like, "Okay, I'll just give you some DMPs." And what Otis did was like, "Look, we're going to find you a sports psychologist." So we find the sports psychologist that I use, who is a huge golf sports psychologist. His name is Gio, and I met with Gio once a week for months, actually for years. We would meet all the time. And going back to Stan, I'm getting DMP, but he's like, "I need you to be around the team. You're the leader. I need you involved." So I'm literally like, I don't know how many games it took, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just on the ground, like this is when you can lay on the ground, watch the game with your uniform on and all that stuff. And my teammates never looked at me different. Coaching staff never looked at me different. Organization never looked at me different. And I think that's the one fear that people have when they seek help when it comes to mental health, or like seeing a doctor for something, especially athletes, because we look at it as like a chink in our armor. Like it's like, oh, we're not, it's like, no, we are human. But I remember we were playing the Bulls, and Stan just looked at me. I'm on the ground. He was like, "You ready?" And I was like, "Yeah." Put me in the game, and in a short span, it was like, man, it was like I was shot out of a cannon, right? And credit to my sports psychologist, all the things he said to me happened. I don't know if it's psychological. I don't know how it happened. He was like, "On this day, in 2 months, you'll feel this way. On this day," and he just kept, and it just put into my head some stuff that allowed me to get past the death of my father.
So now you're a father, you're married, father times 4. You have a boy and 3 girls. Your son, Jameer Nelson Jr., was dropping 20 a game last year at Delaware. He's now at TCU. He's a 5th-year senior. How's he making out, and does he want to play professionally?
I'll go backwards. Yes, he wants to play professionally, and he's doing well. I think I'm not all into the rankings. I think they're in the top 25 this week. After beating number 9 Oklahoma, and I think Houston, which was a top 5 team last week, and had a controversial loss versus Kansas last weekend. You go back and watch that. I can say it because I'm not a coach. I think I think the last minute of that game could have gone a lot different if that game wasn't in Allen Fieldhouse. But no, he's doing really well. I'm actually proud. I'm extremely proud of him for who he is as a person. He's caring and likable, and he's more than what I expected, or more than what people know of him as a basketball player. Like like I said, his personality, like, man, like everybody loves this dude. Everybody gets along with him. He is like one of the nicest people in the world. And again, that's a testament to my wife because I'm not that nice.
I would beg to differ, but go ahead.
She has done my wife has done a really good job with all the kids. And she will continue to do it. That's just who she is as a mom and as a wife.
Do any of the girls play?
So my oldest daughter is at the University of South Florida playing softball. She's a softball player. She's a freshman. And my other younger daughters are softball players as well. My 15-year-old Jaden, who she's being pretty heavily recruited for softball. I think she can start talking, or schools can contact her September 1st of this year, actually. And my youngest daughter, Jace, she's 11. Like she's good because she's athletic. She just needs to figure out how and what she wants to do. And I think I never put pressure on my kids to do one thing. It's like once you pick a lane, then I'll put the effort in with you.
You ever sit there, Jahmir, and maybe I don't know, a moment with your wife, and I don't know, you're on a beach somewhere or what have you, and you take a deep breath and say, you know, my first 41 years have been good. I know you got a birthday coming up. What do you do when you sit there and you take that rare opportunity to smell the flowers?
It's different, man. Like growing up in Chester, and now being able to, I guess, reap the benefits of who Chester made me, and who St. Joe's made me, and Orlando, and so on and so forth. I'm benefiting from all of that, all of my past. And just I'm riding the wave, man. Like and it's at times it's up and down, but it's more up just because I think my mindset is open minded and I understand and I got this from Larry Yarberry, who, like I said, was one of my coaches in high school. Like it is what it is. It is what it is, and it's going to be what it's going to be. Like so, you pivot the way you need to, and everything is not in your control, but the one thing I've always said and will do is I'll control being a nice person. I'll control always wanted to be the best teammate. And even working in the front office, I just want to be the best teammate.
Chester made him proud of it. Jahmir Nelson, thanks so much for being with us. So great to have you with the Sixers organization. Be well, my friend.
Thanks, Mark.
Check out our friends over at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation. PHL Sports Nation. Enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Fresh 24. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts.